is that augmented characters are ridiculously more powerful than regular people. Like, there's a huge difference between a level 1 fighter, someone who has a level 1 fighter augment, and just Joe Schmo who's been in the military his whole life and is a hardened, grizzled badass but doesn't have an augment. Like, Joe Schmo in the military veteran is an ant compared to the guy who's a level 1 fighter, and I think that will show itself here in this
Isn't it
first
like
encounter.
It's like Dragon Ball Z and Hercule. Like Hercule's
Yes.
the strongest human, but
That's a
not
perfect
even
way to
close.
describe it. Yes. Mission objective.
Alright,
Infiltrate the Yellow Nation encampment. Discretion suggested, but neutralize the restless opposition without prejudice. Enter the Vardaskar's quarters. Plant and arm the device. Avoid the Vardaskar at all costs. It hovers closer to you. Questions? Yeah, so what do you guys do?
What kind of? So Kit wants to know what kind of opposition we're gonna find from the Restless.
Yeah, so the Peak says that none, as far as it knows, there should be no augmented Restless here, so this should be a fairly easy mission for you. You do want to be very careful, though, about the Vardaskar, and he brings up some more detail on the Vardaskar for you, just in case you didn't remember. It says, Vardaskar, ancient entities, unfathomably powerful, four known to be active. Temperance leads the Yellow Nation. It's the one that you're on your way to now. Sorrow protects nature. Fury wanders, adventuring. Curiosity is a friend to our people, the Indigo Nation. Do not engage Temperance.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. Did we pick out the guys on the outside first for easy pickings?
Alright, Rogue, what do you do? You just heard Mace said, let's get to the Vardaskar quarters. Do you agree? What do you want to do?
I agree, and I'm going to take out as many guys as I can on the way there.
Cool.
So, I'm
Let's
gonna
say,
head just like that. Yeah.
just grab those guys. These other guys are trying to run now. Alright, and we're going to change a map with a new song here.
Whoa. We all of a sudden leveled up to some powerful looking dudes.
Alright, so the Peak pops out again, and he says this is the location where you should plant the device. Do you have any further questions?
Yeah, what is all this?
Alright, so it displays a little like kind of holographic projection saying, Gods, revered on the light side of Kyo. Each holds separate spheres of influence. Example, the red goddess is patron of blacksmiths and artisans. The blue god accepts prayers for fertility and healing, etc. Status, likely mythological. Insufficient evidence for divine intervention in human affairs. As the Indigo Nation saying goes, we are all gods. And when he says that, you kind of, all three of you feel like this primal urge to just do a call and response and say the same thing back to him, even though he's like a little floating robot. So you're very familiar with that phrase.
We are all gods.
Exactly. So it's a glowing blue sphere. It's emblazoned with runic script, the language of the ancients. The ancients are the people who presumably made the augments and the spheres that you guys are using.
So the Indigo Nation has returned to the light. You have been shrouded in darkness for so long. It must No one can help you. No one can hear you. The gods don't care about you. We serve the gods. You serve a fool. He won't stop us from fighting it. Your deaths are meaningless. To us, you are nothing. Grains of sand floating in distance.
Aww.
Right, cool. So recapping,
This is so fucking rad.
you hear some loud knocking on the door, and two gruff soldiers bust in. New music. Alright, and I'll leave it to you guys to
So Curiosity
say hello to the
himself is supposed to be there, and he asked for you by name, boss. What was your name again?
So what should Biggs and Wiggs call you, Philip?
Arsenic.
Okay.
Let's use that for my character name here.
Sure, done. Alright, this time you are starting far in the bottom left corner. I'll try to reposition you down there.
Ooh.
All right, and you can move freely. We're not going to worry about how many squares you can move. There's not combat here, so move around. You can talk to people if you want
Biggs
to.
kind of comes over here and gives like a little once over to the rookies. He straightens one of theirs like packs or something that he thinks is out of place, but really isn't at all. It's perfectly fine.
Right. The rookie like salutes him and looks like very proud. Remember that if you would, Patrick. This one's name is Porkins.
Okay.
My friends, I thank you for gathering today. Today, 3 brave warriors gave their lives for our cause, but their deaths were not in vain. Their mission was a success. They protected an artifact that will help us to rescue our lost brothers and sisters from fear and folly. I must be frank with you. What we would do now, none of you will live to reap the reward, nor will your children or your children's children. But why should that hold us back? I've always said your lost brothers and sisters are your equals. That is true in all but one way. You alone are free from fear. But they cannot look beyond their lifetimes, let alone think of their children. You are different. You would sacrifice today so that tomorrow might be better. Together, let us build a brighter future for all of you. The symbols will be distributed a new peak model to each of you. We will explain the details of our new mission. Go now into the light. We are all gods.
We are all gods.
Alright, gonna pull you into the map. This map should look very familiar.
This blue barrier seems
Guys,
to
I don't
be
think
fairly
I've-
stable.
Yes, extremely. You're able to get through it because of your peaks, but makes sense why it would have expelled anyone else who was in. Mace, Ayla, and Kit's corpses are here, but it's been months, so they've wasted away. There's pretty much just their armor. You know, no one else has been here since you've been here, clearly, because their augments are just sitting on the floor next to them. What do you do? Alright, so while this music is playing, let me actually get you set up for that to be true.
Put my back
So
to the
Biggs
wall
is
and
down here
keep an
hanging out
eye.
with Porkins. I feel like we have a nice connection.
Yeah, you already have a nice connection with Porkins, so no matter what you do, you're going to get a +2 bonus. Or if you help somebody else help him, they will get a +2 bonus because of your kinship and fraternity with this young fellow. So Porkins has been tasked also as a rookie with, scavenging for supplies. So he's been on all these huts and he's found all the stuff that they had, and none of it's particularly exciting. But he's having trouble getting into this one because it's locked. It looks like there's some windows, but he's kind of like, he's like, is it okay if I just break the windows? I'm not sure. So he sort of asks you for permission to break in some way. Now, if you wanted to, you could do a thievery check to try to, break in a little without like causing damage to the hut, but you might not care because this is the restless encampment.
Oh yeah, Biggs is not big on the thievery aspect, so to ruin sort of the teaching skill check. Let me can I do a strength check on the window?
Yeah, well, it's a window. You're a superhero, so we're not going to bother checking. You smash through.
Okay, cool.
Right, go ahead and go in. Porkins learns from that. He's like, all right, so we don't need to solve problems.
Damn it!
No, this is fine. It's like we don't need to use our minds. Sometimes we can use our fists. And I guess Biggs is just like he just nods approvingly. So
That's right.
that might come up with Porkins later. He might choose to Leroy Jenkins it as opposed to take the more subtle approach.
I recommend it in general.
It wouldn't be great if our party medic was incapacitated. So Arsenic asks Biggs and Wes for questions on how we might get a little bit of cool water to the group to maybe perk them up.
I don't know. Check the water skins.
That's a cool idea, actually, though, because I was going to have this be an endurance check to say, hey, this is how I tolerate heat. Endurance is a skill that lets you tolerate extreme temperatures and like hold your breath and that kind of thing. But you took it in a different direction of let's go look for water. So why don't we roll a nature check instead? Everybody can roll those. If anyone beats a 15, you find some local water source.
Damn, I was
So
short just
close.
by one.
Right. Well, we'll get to that in a sec, because Pat was critically successful. So Biggs is really good at finding water all of a sudden. He doesn't just find like a little trickling stream, he finds like an oasis. You hear Porkins' voice. He sounds really, really excited. He's yelling from up near the top. He's like, guys, I think I found something. And Piet, he calls for Piet in particular because they're buddies. And Piet joins him, and they both run up out of the map up here. When you guys were talking to Kreia and Gallia earlier, they were talking with each other about their old friend. They had a friend in the Indigo Nation. Her name was Serena. She went off on a mission a couple years ago to this general area in the Edge of Dawn. I guess it wouldn't be exactly this area since it's rotating. The Edge of Dawn is always in a different place, right? But she went out of the Nightlands and then never came back. They're maybe hoping that as part of their research here, they might find something to do with her. Also, talking with Gallia, like when you succeeded in surmising that she would be a good person to ask about finding augments, she's a researcher with the Indigo Nation in addition to being an elite. The Curiosity gave her the Wizard Augment specifically because it will help her to do the research she wants to do, which is she's trying to find a way to remove augments. You guys haven't tried it yet, but if you tried to take your augment off, it doesn't come off. Like, it is bound to you for life. And that's a problem for some people. Like, if you want to get an augment, you got to kill somebody. So she's been trying to find a way to do that and has had no success. Is that as far as you can move?
Yep. Stuck right here.
Bumping into something. That's weird.
That is interesting.
Music change.
Wow, that's pretty big.
As you bump into it, the whatever was making it shimmer before, the stealth systems on this device fade away. They finally fail. You see some electrical arcing and sparking. There's this huge thing that looks like a crashed ship in the middle of the desert. This is almost certainly the artifact that you were looking for, or at least it's something that bears investigation, right? As you bump into it, and while Biggs is kind of digging in the sand back there, the metal thing that he bumped into while he was digging starts rising up from the sand and comes out of the ground. I'm going to move you guys into a reasonable spot to start this here. One sec. All right, so there's these defense turrets. They pop out of the ground and they point their these sentinels. Their deal is they actually have hit points, right? You can see the green bar above their heads. So you don't just get to move into their space. They block movement. You have to actually attack them with an ability in order to damage them. And they're a little bit nastier, or quite a bit nastier than the turrets. Alright, so first things first, out of the ground comes this clearly boss monster. Call it the Airbuster. Now that it's here, you guys are kind of getting the better feel for your augments. You've had them for a while now. You've unlocked an additional power. This is called your encounter power. Sweet. So let me put on the explore this artifact thing. A little bit. Right, so the battle is won. Any cards you have in hand, you can just drop on the board and discard. I'll go ahead and redistribute your new encounter powers to you once the next encounter starts. But yeah, what do you guys do?
Oh, well, let's consult our pick, or whatever the
Sure.
hell it's called. Our plick plock?
Peek
Boink.
peek.
Peek. I was so close.
Peek peek pops out of the augment and says, enter the structure. Further instructions to follow. Questions?
How are we supposed to get in?
He flies over, illuminating the sort of entrance here. There's sort of a doorway that's opening leading into the hangar, what you guys as players would recognize as the hangar of the ship. It's clearly, this sort of technology is way beyond anything your characters have actually seen before. Actually, well, really excited, and they're like, oh man, we gotta check this out! Porkins and Pierre! And they run past you, climb up it, and go into the hangar entrance, disappear inside the ship.
So Arsenic was about to tell one of them to keep an eye on our exit, but seeing as we'll need all of our firepower going in, let's follow those guys and make sure they don't get in any more trouble.
Okay, there are the other folks, the more responsible non-rookies, have followed your instructions and are monitoring the perimeter. They're not going to be coming in with you, but I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. You get a pop-up. Peek Peek says it's runic, the language of the ancients. The translation's unavailable. It says priority 1, investigate the artifact. Recover any high-value ancient technology. Further context-sensitive instructions to follow. Go up to the door here that's in front of you, and it makes kind of a sound. And Peek Peek appears from your augment and says, artifact power has been disabled. Updated mission objective. It flies to the metal doors and eliminates a button next to them. Priority 1, search for a way to power ancient devices on this artifact. Further context-sensitive instructions to follow. It hovers closest to you and asks questions. Alright, so you can see what's actually going on here. Let me bring Jai back up. A Wedge is sitting at this console in this oversized chair. It actually is kind of oversized. He's messing around with the computer console here, and Peek Peek is behind him. Peek Peek repeats the mission objective to you guys as you come in. It says modified mission objective, and he illuminates the console screen. Priority 1, obtain battery spheres. Critical restriction, do not restore full ship power. Further context-sensitive instructions to follow. So this floor's music, but you're doing the puzzle now, so one sec. There we go.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, I think it's your call, boss. I think we could do either one. We could follow our directions, or we can curiously restore power to the ship and see what happens.
Let's err on the side of being conservative and listen to the Peek Peek.
So let me. I think I know where Pat was going with that. Since this is a prequel, there are some things you could do that could interfere with what's already happened in the game universe, which is fine. Like, you're still welcome to do everything you want to do. I won't tell you what will and will not interfere with the game universe, and if you do make that decision, this is what you'll hear.
What have you done? You've changed the future. You've created a time paradox.
So if you hear that, that means
Great.
whatever you just did, we're going to step back in time a little bit and not do that. But for the most part, do whatever you want. Like, you could try to do that to trigger it, and we'll all laugh, and then I'll put you, and it'll make you wonder, like, why would that have triggered a time paradox? In this case, if you had decided to do that, you would have gotten the time paradox sound effect. So there you go.
So we need to restore power to the entire ship.
No. Well, if you want a time paradox.
Or
No, we need to.
What have you done?
Yes, we're right here.
You've created a time paradox.
go back over there. Back over there. There. All good?
Damn.
Success. Oh, hell yeah.
There we go. Did we trigger
Wait.
battle?
I don't know if you guys noticed that Porkins is dead down there because of our
No,
early interactions with him. He rushed in. He learned from his mentor, who said, "Don't think, don't be
no.
subtle." I have a version where he lives if you really like proc stuff out with him. You see, there's some battery spheres have appeared now down in this little tank at the bottom that are available for taking, but you kind of have to deal with these enemies. So let me tell you what the deal is with these enemies. Our minions. They do 2 damage in melee range, so they're pretty strong. They're melee only, but their trick is they're immune to attacks and movement originating from any squares that are above them.
That's not a yay, we beat all the bad guys sound.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, well, hey, what are you guys doing all the way down there? Can you,
There's a guard scorpion up top with 3 more guards and orbs.
Oh yeah, looks like I'm gonna beat a hasty, not retreat, but advance toward that ladder.
Alright, so in response to that, now that he's been bloodied, he goes from almost full health to bloodied very quickly. Raises his tail. When the guard scorpion is bloodied, it raises its tail. Targeting the guard scorpion while its tail is up causes it to automatically counterattack with its tail laser. Its tail goes back down after just counterattack 3 times.
Ugh.
So it's going to try to hit
Alright,
Biggs. It gets, I think, 5 hit points.
Alright.
Hey, it was 10 reflex.
Look at that. Look at that.
And that's enough damage to finish him off.
Awesome.
Alright, good job, guys. We have 5 minutes left, but we can do a little bit of wrap up to kind of get the hype going for the next. Alright, so you use your battery spheres and the door opens up. It lets you into a room, a small room. In the room, there's a panel on the wall. I'm going to show it to you here. It's going to pop up and tell you something about it. Alright, Peek Peek appears from your augment. Updated mission objective. He illuminates the elevator's panel. Priority 1, find a way to decipher runic script. Further context-sensitive instructions to follow. He hovers closer to you. Questions?
Can you decipher the runic script?
He cannot.
Can you try a little harder, you piece of shit?
Is there some sort of color coding algorithm here that you can
Very
detect?
possibly. Yeah, there's that Peek Peek can detect.
Yes.
He says you could try pressing them and find out. I can try to help if you don't figure it out. And he snickers at you.
Oh, thanks.
Peek Peek's kind of a dick. Yeah, so these are buttons that you can press. I guess just tell me what color you're pressing since you can't read that shit.
Peek Peek's pressing my buttons right now. Yeah.
So let's press the green next to the purple, if that sounds good.
Cool. And then I'll move you to that map so you can take a look at it real quick, and then we'll wrap up.